Welcome back for another exciting episode of the 10-8 Round Podcast. We are joining you live, as always, from an undisclosed location monitored consistently by the federal government known as Area 52. I, as always, am your humble narrator, Zach from Filthy Philadelphia, joined by the incomparable Coltrane.
Pleasure to be here. Got a quote of the day for you.
Quote of the day.
Quote of the day.
Let's hear it.
Both in fighting and in everyday life, you should be determined through calm. Miyamoto Musashi, The Book of Five Rings.
I like that quote. I have a quote of the day as well.
Hit it.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Notable that we should say we are proud Philadelphians. This is a Philadelphia-based MMA podcast. The Eagles kicking off the season tonight in Brazil. So there's a real MMA connection for you. Taking on the Packers of Green Bay at 8:15 p.m. I believe they're playing in Sao Paulo.
I don't know how that came together, but there it is.
I'm not sure how it came together. I'm not sure it makes sense. I know the Eagles were barred from wearing green because it is the color of a rival soccer team down there.
That's that on that. As a born and bred Philadelphian, I can't really comment without getting incensed.
Correct. And obviously we have a number of fans in Brazil, given our global reach of this podcast. Of course. The Brazilian connection to the sport of MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We don't want to alienate them. If you're one of our loyal listeners in Brazil, reach out to us. Let us know how you feel about that. Should we start in the usual way?
Let's do it.
Let's do that. Let's crack this open. It's hot down here.
Yeah, I think the federal government cut our AC budget.
They definitely did. Cheers to no electrical fires.
There it is.
To you, sir, and go Birds. For the non-Philadelphians listening, I think it's probably important to explain that Go Birds is kind of like our aloha.
Yes.
It can mean so many things. It can mean hello, goodbye, it's all good. It can mean I love you. Right? Go Birds is an acceptable place filler for almost every piece of linguistics in the city and county of Philadelphia.
That is indeed correct. We use it for any and all things. Go Birds.
Go Birds. And I guess this isn't an NFL podcast, so I guess we should probably talk about the fights that are coming up. We're recording a little bit early. You're on a sojourn to Texas.
Indeed.
Tejas tomorrow.
Tejas.
So we wanted to make sure we get an episode in to cover UFC, what are we up to now? 306 live.
306.
UFC Noche.
There it is. Riyadh season.
From the Sphere. This is celebrating Mexican Independence Day.
Yes.
Which is not Cinco de Mayo.
Not the same.
Apparently not even a big holiday in Mexico, Cinco de Mayo.
Interesting.
I don't know enough about it.
Just means free margaritas in certain places.
You know, if you've looked at me, and this may surprise some, I am not Hispanic.
No.
I am not Latin American. I do not have any Mexican DNA.
Okay.
So when people talk about the significance of Mexican holidays, I tend to just listen and nod.
As you should. I think that's respectful. I, too, have no direct connection to our folks down in Mexico.
Sure.
However, I stand in solidarity.
We always stand in solidarity. We stand with you. Soy es Mexicanos. Jesus. I believe that's grammatically correct.
So sorry.
Yeah, and that was the 10-8 Round Podcast. We've been canceled. We're at the Sphere.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Sphere? This is the UFC is. The UFC is doing something they try to do, which is that they try to psyop us into believing that something is much bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell it.
The Sphere is a failed convention center. Is that right? Is that the way we could say?
I think that's fair.
It's a failed convention center. It's probably cost too much money to run. It was a novelty item in Vegas, and as many items are in Vegas.
Sure.
But Vegas is the land of novelty. But even in Vegas, it couldn't quite get off the ground. I think this will probably be one of the few huge things to take place there and maybe be successful. But honestly, do we care?
I don't know that we care. I know that the Sphere projects images outward on its exterior. I've seen it as like a smiley face. I've seen some other novelty things projected onto the Sphere. But other than it just being a half spherical convention center, I'm not quite sure what the big fucking deal is.
Now, we say all this, but according to Dana White, this is going to be the biggest spectacle in MMA history. So I will reserve total judgment until I see some reports from the ground.
I guess. And here's the thing. I'm going to have to take somebody's word for it because did you see the prices of these tickets?
Insane. Insane. In fact, that's probably what's driving Dana's commentary.
This is the money he's going to make.
Yeah.
Right. I want to. I mean, I haven't checked in a while, but I saw tickets going for like $2,500 a pop.
And listen, I love Sugar Sean O'Malley. I love Merab. I'm not paying that much to go see him.
No. Absolutely not. There is no chance I am paying $2,500 for a UFC. Absolutely not.
Now listen, would I pay $2,500 to see John Jones and Tom Aspinall? Maybe.
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 But again, it's all hypothetical because do I have $2,500 to spend on a UFC ticket?
Once this podcast takes off, we'll just charge that to
I mean, and
business
look,
expense.
We have millions, legions of fans around the world. Mm-hmm. When we decide we are ready to monetize this podcast.
Right, because we have to take it slow. We can't just bum rush success, right?
Correct. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Success is slow and steady. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. Liquid Death, if you're listening. How many more of these cans do we have to crack before we can talk turkey? How many more? We almost burnt this place down.
Listen, we're putting our friends onto this. This is actually leading to sales here.
It actually is. Yeah, there is some merit to that. But okay, so we don't really know quite what the sphere is,
no.
Nor are we sure that we care what the sphere is.
No.
We know we can't afford to get into the sphere. But once you get in there, if you can get past the fuckery that abounds, you're going to see the Sugar Show, Sugar Sean O'Malley, taking on Merab Dvalishvili.
That's right.
That's exciting.
That's fun. Honestly.
That's a fun fight.
Bantamweight division, Sean O'Malley 18-1, Merab coming at 17-4.
And Sean avenging his singular loss to Chito Vera.
Exactly.
Dominating might be a bit of a slow play.
Yeah.
Really just bell to bell beat Chito Vera's ass. Hit him with a knee at one point that I made an audible gasp while watching it. And
we're Chito fans over here.
And we are always. I love Chito. I'm a Chito fan. I'm a Chito guy. But Chito got beat the fuck up by the Sugar Show. Yeah, I taken on what I have to believe is his most difficult challenge to date, which is Merab Dvalishvili, wrestling out of Serra-Longo on Long Island. One of, if not the best chain wrestlers in MMA. He just has a dogged approach to wrestling. He's not undefeated in the UFC, but he's pretty close to undefeated in the UFC. I want to say he's only lost twice in the UFC. Once to Ricky Simon and once to Frankie Sinez, and that was early on. That was his first 2 UFC fights.
Getting his bearings.
Right. And since then has been on a tear.
I think this is going to be a competitive fight, to say the least. I think Sugar Sean, I was going through his Instagram, he says he starches Merab. Now listen, I can't say what the fight game has in store for us on that particular Saturday, but what I can say is that Merab's going to be a little bit more difficult to beat than Sugar Sean is making it to be. This is what I can say. Yes, O'Malley has the hands. He's got those vicious hands. He's got solid ground game. I was watching some footage, and I mean, his ground game is actually pretty good. He just never has to take it out because he finishes it on the feet. Lots of feints, lots of jukes to confuse the opponent. He's got high fight IQ. Yes. But here we come with Merab, that just dogged, tough guy, wrestling, chaining it, boom, boom, boom. He's, like you said, he's got a dominant record on a 10-fight win streak in the UFC. That's what we should be talking about. Walks people down with bad intentions, high intensity and pace, and I think those kinds of things are going to factor in here. The high intensity and the pace. How many times have we seen Sugar Sean go for 5 rounds?
I think Sugar Sean gets it done.
I agree. I just need to make the case.
I think Sugar Sean gets it done. Now, when this fight was first getting kind of put into the atmosphere, when the beef was building a little bit, and obviously Sugar had the beef with Aljo. Aljo trains out of Serra-Longo. Merab is Aljo's boy. So the beef started to build up a little bit. Merab stole Sugar Sean's jacket at one point, which was kind of funny. But I think the Sugar Show has made me a believer. I really do. I think he's going to get it done versus Merab. Merab's never been knocked out, but he's looked a little unsteady on the feet at times. It looks like he will walk into things to try to accomplish a takedown. I just don't think you're doing that to Sean O'Malley. And for a long time, I was a Sean doubter. I was there when the no contest happened with Pedro Munoz in 2022. I thought Sugar Sean was a little bit fraudulent at the time. Then he beat Piotr Jan.
Yep.
Then he starched Aljo. Starched him in round two. Starched him in round two. And people said that he was never getting through Aljo. He shut down Aljo and starched him. And then the bell-to-bell beating of Marlon Chito Vera. And I got to say, and this is hard to say, because Merab is a Long Island guy training out of Cerro Longo. That's my home. It's my hometown. I think the Sugar Show gets it done here, and I don't think it's close.
You don't even think it's close?
No, I don't. I don't. I think that style that Merab has of just trying to walk through a storm to get a takedown, if that style was effective, Aljamain Sterling would have beaten Sean O'Malley for the belt.
That's a fair assessment, and I don't disagree. I'm going to give Merab just a little bit more credit, just a little bit, because I do think that the gas tank may feature here if Merab can be competent enough on the feet to make it go into the championship rounds.
Sean has this way of making you look dumb on the feet, no matter how competent you are. Because are we going to doubt Chito Vera's on the feet credentials? Are we going to say that Chito doesn't have competency on the feet?
You're right.
He got beat the fuck up.
It was a beatdown. It was a mollywop.
It was a mollywop.
It was a mollywop.
Yes. Bell to bell.
I have it here that Sean O'Malley takes it for sure. I want you to know that the odds are fairly even at this early date.
Sure.
And when I say fairly even, I mean dead even.
Dead even.
They're not calling it, the fight makers are not calling it at all.
Yeah, I just think on paper, like Merab should get this done. But I think Sean O'Malley might be one of those mythical fighters, the mythical UFC fighters where it's like, nope, he is the foil for this like relentless wrestling kind of almost Dagestani style pace where it's just relentless chain wrestling, just chasing it down. I think the Sugar Show might be the answer to this problem.
So what you're saying is that we're going to see Sean O'Malley do to Merab what we thought Sandhagen was going to do to Umar.
Correct.
Got you.
I think so. I think that's a fair assessment.
All right. And I want to see that. That's what I want to see. I want to see the technique come out to dismantle one of these chain wrestlers. I'm going to say that Merab has a little bit more of a chance, but I would not be surprised if I turn on the fight and in round 2 I'm just seeing Dvalishvili just on the ground.
Yeah.
Laid out.
Yeah. I think that might be what we're headed for. I'm not even, it's not even about hope or will or want. I just genuinely believe that that's what we're heading for. You want to talk co-main event?
Let's do it. Grasso v. Shevchenko.
Grasso versus Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko. This is the final tough finale. This is the two tough coaches battling it out.
This is the third time meeting.
This is going to be their third time meeting. It's
back to back.
Yeah, it's one for Grasso, a draw. Which
interesting.
I wasn't sure was a draw. Not quite sure.
Which way did you think that was going?
I thought it went Grasso.
I also thought it went Grasso.
Okay,
we're on the same page.
Yeah,
okay.
I did think it went Grasso. Valentina, for a long time, considered one of the most, if not the most dangerous women in MMA. The Kyrgyzstani kickboxer, for a long time, just ran roughshod through the division. And for a long time, it looked like the only person who could beat her was Amanda Nunes. Right? It looked like going up in weight to fight Nunes. And even then, it was a split decision and a unanimous decision loss. But Valentina's beaten Holly Holm. And she has, before getting to the UFC, she has one loss to Liz Carmouche as well, a TKO loss. Her only TKO loss. For a long time, Valentina looked, again, right, mythical fighter, like a mythical level fighter. I mean, she beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk, one of the GOATs of MMA, women's MMA in particular. She got her lick back against Liz Carmouche in the UFC, beat up Jessica Andrade, beat up Lauren Murphantime Murphy, beat up Talia Santos, until she met Alexa Grasso.
And could not get it done.
Could not get it done.
In fact, I went and watched both of those matches, the first two, and what I was really surprised by was Grasso's ground defense in the last moments. The 11th hour defenses of Grasso. Because, both folks really good on the feet. really good on the feet. Once it got to the ground, it was clear that Shevchenko was a little bit more comfortable on the top position handling Grasso. At one point, there were some RNCs. There were some potential Kimuras happening. Each time, we saw Grasso take her time, gather her thoughts, make a really clean escape, turn the tide, get back on the feet, and then proceed to dismantle Shevchenko. Both competitions. So I think we're going to see that again. If anything, we'll see even more competency from Grasso on the ground, because if I were her coach, I'd be telling her, hey, you need to get your ground game up. I mean, I know you're going to start her on the feet. Get to the feet a little quicker. Get back up.
I'm going to disagree.
Uh-oh.
I think Shevchenko gets it done.
Okay.
I think that the first time she fought Alexa Grasso, I think she was a victim of her own success. I think she had been riding high for too long. And I think she became a victim of that success. Valentina is one of the crispest, cleanest strikers in women's MMA history. She's one of the most disciplined fighters in the organization. I think that she is going to come back with a vengeance over Grasso, and I think she's going to get it done.
I respect that take. It's hard for me to share that take because I watched a failed spinning back kick at jab range from Valentina.
Sure.
And it made me go, is this Muay Thai 101? I mean, I was confused by the choice.
Sure.
There was no way Grasso was going to be in effective range of that.
And I think that spin kick, and I know which one you're talking about,
Yeah.
I think it was symptomatic of the greater problem, which is that I think Valentina, right, when you can't be beaten, how do you start to seriously prepare for anybody? If no one can beat you, what do you do, right? And I think Alexa Grasso capitalized on that. She capitalized on Valentina's success and showed her a couple of looks she hadn't seen in a while. I think now, and their last fight was almost exactly a year ago, so September 16th of last year, they fought to a draw. I think this is going to be a Valentina who is ready to get her lick back.
Either way, I'm excited to see it.
I'm excited
It's
for
going
this
to be
one.
a fun match.
Yeah, this is just going to be a good fight. I think Valentina's going to get it done. I think it'll be a good fight. I'm excited for it.
Should we go on to Brian Ortega v. Diego Lopez?
Brian T. City Ortega versus Diego. I still listen to Hawthorne Heights Lopez. The worst haircut in MMA. Yeah, let's do it.
It seems to be working for him, though.
It does seem to be working for him. And Diego Lopez is one of them dudes who is just bound and determined to make me like him.
Yeah.
He is a teammate of Irene Aldana, who is on the card. He announced this week that his plan for the night is to go corner Aldana, run back, get changed, warm up, and then come out and fight Brian T. City Ortega.
I respect that.
Right?
That's a badass move right there.
He is just, and there's a lot of strikes against Diego Lopez. Number one, I fucking hate his haircut. That's gotta go. I don't know what that. It looks like an emo mullet to the extent that was possible.
Yeah.
Right. He was so busy wondering if he could. He never stopped to think if he should.
There it is.
I hate his chest tattoo.
It has been known to draw controversy.
It looks like the entire alphabet in this weird sort of gothic script. I think it's fucking stupid. And I hate him because he defeated Pat Sabatini, who is a Philly guy who I'm a huge fan of. And, you know, nothing makes you hate somebody quite like sour grapes. Do we have a little Philadelphia Christmas Carol playing outside?
Philly's finest right
I wonder
there.
if that'll get picked up.
I think it did.
I think it did. A little siren going by.
That's how you know it's real, everybody.
That being said, Diego Lopez is a tough dude.
Mm-hmm.
Diego Lopez, so he gets the look to come to the UFC from Lux, where he had previously fought, and Fury, on like 6 days' notice.
Yeah.
I want to say. I think it was 6 days' notice to fight Mavsar Ivloyev. Tough customer. And like brought the heat.
For
Made
sure.
it a competitive, tough fight. Lost to UD, but in losing so, gained the respect, obviously, of Dana White, all the other big dogs at the UFC, got himself a contract, decides not to waste it, comes back, 3 months later in the same year, armbars Gavin Tucker, comes back 3 months after that, knocks out Pat Sabatini, comes back, takes a little time off this time, comes back 5 months later, TKO's Sadiq Youssef,
Yep.
and then in June of this year, had a banger, a crackerjack with Dan Ige.
Right. And we give all props to Dan Ige because that was a 3-day
3-day
notice.
Was it 3 minutes?
Was it the same day? It may have been the same day.
I think Dan Ige was at the Applebee's down the street when Sean Shelby ran in and said, "I need somebody who can fight." And Dan Ige looked up from his pot stickers and said, "I might know a guy."
Yeah.
And went in there and had a banger.
For sure. And look, Lopez definitely won that fight, but this was not the starching that it could have been.
It's hard to starch Dan Ige.
That's fair enough.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying it's hard to starch Dan Ige. But him and Lopez put on a banger, a heater. And now this is the step up that Lopez has wanted, right? He's taken on T-City, who has 3 losses in his whole career. And all of them are pretty
respectable.
Recent. Yeah. I mean, Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, and the Yair Rodriguez one, while he did lose it, he lost it due to an injury in the cage. Right. He injured his shoulder. It wasn't like a TKO. It wasn't a submit. It was a legitimate injury and a legitimate loss.
Sure.
But got that lick back over Yair too, right? Hit him with an arm triangle the next meeting.
I think Lopez gets it done. I do think it would be incredibly difficult. Are we splitting on that? Let's take a sip. You think?
Here's the problem.
Tell me.
Here's my issue. We know how good T-City is. Now he's had some injury issues. Like he's prone to injury, and that bears out when you look at his schedule. Right, he's had 7 fights in 7 years, so he's averaging once a year for fighting, which doesn't tell the whole story. There's a lot of 2-year layoffs in there. I think he had some knee issues, maybe. Mm-hmm. And, we know he had some shoulder issues. It took him almost 2 years to get back and fight Yair Rodriguez on the rematch. That was earlier this year. But we know how good he is.
We do.
We know he really is that good. I don't know how good Diego Lopez is. Now, all credit to him for fighting Evloev on 3 days' notice, 6 days' notice, whatever it was. All credit to him for the wins he's picked up thus far in the UFC. Are any of his wins thus far better than T-City?
I will say no. However,
go ahead.
This is why this matchup is happening.
Agreed.
And I want to see Lopez at least mount a decent challenge. Mm-hmm. But in my heart of hearts, I do believe Lopez can get it done. I do believe that we're not talking about 2 different levels of fighter. I think we're talking about one who's at an established level and one who needs to get his dissertation in, an ABD, so to speak.
I think T-City gets it done.
Okay.
I don't think it's the end of Lopez by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what the ceiling for Diego Lopez is. And look, if I eat my words, I eat my words. But I think T-City gets it done. I think he's got the jiu-jitsu prowess necessary. And he's just tough, right? I think he's just a tough dude.
No one's denying that.
Even his losses, they were some bangers. So I think T-City gets it done.
All right.
You want to talk about Daniel Zellhuber?
And Esteban
Ribovics? Yeah, let's do that.
Lightweight division. Zellhuber coming in from the 2021 Contender Series. Mm-hmm. Kickboxing extraordinaire, in my mind. I watched his match against Prado. I think that's how you say it.
Francisco Prado,
That's right. Range management was just A1. Picking the shots, significant strikes and damage. I mean, this is all you want to see in a striker right here. Only lost to Trey Ogden.
Yep.
And he's got submissions and UDs in the UFC. And that's always what I want to see is can someone submit as well as get things done with the judges, as well as TKO or KO. And he's got all those things in the record. When I come to Ribovics from 2022 Contender Series, has submissions in the past, but primarily getting it done on the feet for the past 5 years. That tells me that there's some hole in that ground game that he's prioritizing the standing game.
Sure.
That's what that tells me. He does throw bombs, and he's a very aggressive attacker. He's got heavy, heavy hands.
Fair.
I think Zellhuber's got it, though.
We agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance that Zellhuber doesn't have this one. I think Zellhuber is somebody to watch in the UFC, moving up the ranks. I think he's a tough dude. I think he can get it done kind of anywhere. So in the 155 division, I think Zellhuber's somebody to watch going forward. I think he gets it done here.
All right. Should we talk about one more?
Oh, we could talk about it. Yeah, we could talk about one more. You want to go to the bottom of the card?
Yeah, let's go Rosas, sorry.
Raul Rosas Jr.
Yes, and so I've heard it said many ways.
Yeah,
we always come with,
let me hear your best shot.
I hear Ariki Lang. That's what I've heard. That's what the commentators say.
Ariki Lang.
Yes, they kind of run it all together.
There are letters both missing.
Yep.
And extra letters for us to get to Ariki Lang.
I know.
Now, I'm not doubting that pronunciation, but I have to suspend belief a little bit.
We get rid of the O.
Sure.
The Key Lang is clearly the separate name, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, I said clearly, but I'm not sure. And I think that they hit us with Aoriki Lang. That's what they hit us with. I'm not sure that's the right hit.
They kind of blend it into, they blend the name a little bit.
Exactly.
I can see that. All right, that's fair.
Either case, it's the bantamweight division.
It's the bantamweight division. It's Raul Rosas Jr., the youngest person in UFC history to get a contract. I think he was actually 17 when he signed his contract. Without a doubt, the ugliest man in MMA. He has a bionic chin.
Yeah, he does.
Which I've never seen before. And kind of a strange fight, right? Ariki Lang.
Yeah. An older guy, we'll say. In the UFC, we'll say.
Sure. I mean, he's only 31. But so let's not call him older.
In terms of fight, look, he's got 25 and 10. Mm-hmm. So he's got 35 matches.
25 and 11.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, 25 and 11.
That's right. Rosas Jr.'s got 9 and 1. So he's got 10 fights. So I'm not talking about age of the dog. I'm talking about the age of the run.
Sure.
Rosas got those hands and that ground game.
I'm gonna save us time here, and we can just build off of this. I don't think the UFC intends for Raul Rosas Jr. to lose this fight.
If he doesn't win this fight, he doesn't deserve to go on.
Right.
Because this is a gimme.
Ariki Lang, the Mongolian murderer, coming from a promotion called WLF, got to the UFC, went on a 2-fight skid to Jeff Molina and Cody Durden, has a TKO win over Cameron Else, has a win over Jay Perrin, a loss to Ayman Zahabi, got knocked out, beat Johnny Munoz, and has a no contest with Daniel Marcos. I don't see the UFC, for any reason, having Raul Rosas Jr. losing this fight. I think this is part of their grand plan to kind of protect him and then put him up when he's ready. Rosas coming over a win over Ricky Tercios, Terrence Mitchell, also a win over Jay Perrin. I could say more, but what more could I say?
It's gonna go Rosas for sure.
It's gonna go Rosas.
Yeah.
I think that's check out the Norma Dumont Irene Aldana fight. I think that's a good one. I think this card is a little underwhelming.
A little bit. I will say it's fun to see that both Dumont and Ariki Lang, that's what I'm calling you. If that's not your name, I'm sorry. They both have Sanda backgrounds, which is Chinese MMA. That's just something fun. That's just something fun for the folks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's about the most interesting thing happening. Besides the main event.
Besides the main event.
Yeah.
And besides, we have an update on Beginner's Luck. Should we take a powder break and come back for Beginner's Luck?
Let's get it done.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, so my prediction for UFC 306, I got O'Malley, the main event, versus Merab, beating Merab third round TKO. I got Grasso beating Valentina by decision. I got Diego Lopez beating Brandon Ortega by submission. I got Raul Ross Jr. winning by decision second round. I got Noma Dolment beating Ariel Eileen Alden by decision. I got Mayo Torres winning by decision. I got Kevin Boros winning by decision. I got Rolando Rodriguez winning by second round knockout. Yasmin by decision, and Daniel Zellhuber by decision. Peace.
Welcome back to the 10-8 round podcast. For one of the fans' favorite segments, we are going to go to Beginner's Luck. Now, before we get to this week's Beginner's Luck, Coltrane, I think you have an update for the people at home.
I do. We have a record in place now. I've gone back and reviewed all of my picks so far. And what we've got is 29-20 in terms of accuracy. And that turns out to about 59%.
In Major League Baseball, that's a Hall of Fame career.
So here we are.
How do you feel about those numbers so far?
My goal is 70%.
Okay.
I think 70 is a solid, okay, I'm clearly not out there rigging the fights kind of number.
Right.
I'm happy with 59% being as though I just started my sort of very serious journey. And I think we keep bringing the analytics, we keep bringing the history, we keep bringing all of our various tools to the table. And we'll see 70 materialize.
I think we'll see 70 materialize. 29-20 is pretty good. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, if you've bet the money line every time, as Coltrane has predicted, you're plus money right now.
For sure.
Right? You know, if you've bet all 49 fights that he's picked so far, you're coming out plus money right now.
And listen, the ones that I have staked my reputation on, like Jesus Aguilar,
sure,
you made big money because that was a dog.
Yeah.
And if you did that, like I told you to go do, you made a couple bucks.
As of right now, Jesus Aguilar is your crowning achievement.
Absolutely.
It might have been Nunes, but for the fuckery that abounded.
Right.
So right now, Jesus Aguilar is your crowning achievement.
That truly hurt me.
Yeah, that's your opus right now. Is
sure.
Jesus Aguilar. Do you think you'll get to a point where you're going to start calling out prop plays, parlays, things like that?
I think so. I think by the end of this year, if not sooner, I'll start getting sophisticated with the picks.
You think there's levels to this shit?
Absolutely.
All right.
And we're about to play.
Denzel, Training Day, Alonzo style.
I got cases on all these motherfuckers.
On all these motherfuckers.
I got cases on all. King Kong ain't got shit on me. Okay, tell me a story, Hoyt.
That was a good Denzel. The little rasp at the end, that was a pretty good Write in and let us know how you feel about Coltrane's Denzel impression. I think it was pretty good. I'm with it.
I'm surgical with this bitch, Jake.
Damn, that was pretty good. I'm impressed. Not just with the 29-20, but with the Denzel impression. I do a great Scooby-Doo impression. That's what I have.
Oh my
going
gosh,
for
we'll
me.
have to get that on.
Yeah, one of these days. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm ready to do it for the public
Halloween weekend.
Halloween episode. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll do the whole episode as Scooby-Doo.
I don't know about that.
No one will ever listen again.
Nope.
That'll be the end of that. So should we get into Beginner's Luck for this week?
Let's do it.
Merab Dvalishvili taking on Sugar Sean O'Malley.
All right, so let me get the odds here. What's interesting about this card is because I think of two factors, because we're a little early this time around, but then also because some of these fights are predictable and some of them aren't.
Sure.
We're getting a lot of timidity from the book.
Okay.
From the bookies.
Yeah.
We'll say.
And in fairness to the book, it is early. We're recording this on Friday, September 6th.
Right.
So that we have it in the can to put out. But we play an honest and integrity-filled game.
Absolutely.
So we'll bring it to the people as we see it.
So they are both even at -120. And so I'm going to go with O'Malley here.
Okay. And we'll just call it a pick'em.
We'll call it a pick.
All right. So O'Malley. Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko.
Another pick'em. However, this is a little bit different because they both have negative numbers, but they're different. So we got -115, -105.
Okay.
So what I've read up this means is that the bookies are really unsure about this one and are actually hesitant to make a decision. But Alexa Grasso is just a little bit more favored in terms of what you're going to bet and get back.
We'll call it a pick'em.
We'll call it a pick'em.
I think we can stake our reputation and integrity on calling that a pick'em for now.
For now.
And if we see an update, maybe we throw it up on the Instagram, let people know the lines are shifting.
Drop something.
We'll adjust Beginner's Luck, but you're going with Grasso anyway.
Yes.
So we'll call it a pick'em. Brian Ortega, Diego Lopez.
Ortega's coming in as the underdog at +150 with
Wow.
Lopez at -180.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
surprised. Okay. And you're going with Lopez.
I'm going with Lopez.
So that's a favorite pick.
That's a favorite pick. We're going to get a lot of favorites here.
All right. Daniel Zellhuber taking on Esteban Ribovics.
That's right. Zellhuber coming in as the favorite at -225, and Ribovics coming in as the underdog at +185. Got to go with Zellhuber. Skill and the numbers don't lie on that.
Yeah, I can't find a disagreement there. Ronaldo Rodriguez taking on O'Day Osborne.
Rodriguez is the favorite at -170. Osborne coming in underdog +140. Listen, it would be criminal if I told anyone to bet on O'Day Osborne.
I agree.
It'd be criminal. So we're going with Rodriguez.
I think I like O'Day Osborne, but I just
Yeah.
I don't think this ain't it.
This is not the one.
Irene Aldana taking on Norma Dumont.
So Aldana is the favorite at -130. Dumont coming in as the underdog at +110. If you find a couple dollars, go with Dumont. I'm going to go with Aldana, but it could go Dumont's way. Here's why. I think that Dumont's got a very different style than Aldana.
Okay.
But I think that it could go to decision, and if it does go to decision, Dumont could win it out.
She could eke out a decision.
She could, but Aldana's got superior skills on the ground and on the feet. So I'm thinking that Aldana could make it happen, but if Dumont plays a very safe sort of Adesanya-esque game, we could see a split decision.
I mean, Dumont does have a win over the Iron Lady, Jermaine Durandame.
That's right.
And that's a big woman to be fighting and to win a decision over, especially since she fights at 135. I believe Norma Dumont, you were saying, has a Chinese MMA style.
That's right.
Interesting, because she is Brazilian.
And there it is, right?
Do we have any information that she ever lived in China?
I have no clue. What I think probably happened is that she was in a league, a Sanda league. But that's the only information I've got. I looked into it. It just said that she had a Chinese MMA background. I don't know what else to tell you.
That's interesting, though, because, I mean, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu background, at this point, it's a commonplace name. It has really very little to do with a connection to Brazil.
Yeah.
But Sanda,
You're going to China.
you would think.
One would. But there's a lot of cross-pollination, should we say, between East Asia and Brazil. So
Sure.
I could see there being a small league or a few, are they dojos? Are they training places? A few
Sure, training
places,
facilities.
Yes, for Sanda in Brazil.
Well, now, interesting, because, we know the Japanese connection to Brazil, right? That's how we get Brazilian jiu-jitsu, is that a count from Japan is in Brazil on business in the early 20th century. He meets, I believe, Carlos, and if you're a jiu-jitsu nerd and I get this wrong, please do not hate mail me for this. I believe he meets Carlos Gracie, who is his driver, translator, guide. Carlos Gracie has a son named Elio Gracie, and this Japanese count teaches Japanese jiu-jitsu to Elio Gracie, who learns it, begins to toy with it, and then teaches it to all of his sons. And that is the birth of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
That does sound like a potentially ironclad recounting of those events. Yes.
I believe that is spot on accurate.
I think so.
So, okay, but we're going with Aldana.
Yeah, we're going with Aldana. And let me just mention real quick, because I am half Islander, that there are a lot of Chinese down in the Caribbean. And
Okay.
It's actually a huge population down there. And there is a lot of representation going on down there. There's a lot of cultural mixing happening down there. There's a name for them, but I'm not sure if it's offensive, so I'll keep it to myself.
And
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's restraint.
Yeah, we'll keep that in the chamber.
We're not, I would say probably due to me, we're not known for our restraint.
No, but my trigger discipline on this particular issue will be superb.
That's, off air, I'm going to have you tell me what the name is, because I'm just curious.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting tidbits here.
for sure.
But we've got work to do. So
Yeah,
Manuel Torres taking on Ignacio Bahamondes.
Yeah,
Bahamondes.
this is another even split here.
Okay.
They both have solid overall games. I think this is truly a skill issue here. And when I say a skill issue, I mean the bookies can't call it based off of their records and based off of their performances. They're both really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Torres here just because he's got a little bit more integrity in terms of the repeatability of his game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bahamondes got it done.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yasmin Jaregui.
Haragi.
Yeah. Nailed it. Taking on Ketlin Souza.
Yes.
I got that one.
Haragi is the heavy favorite at -500 with Souza as the underdog at +350. You know where I'm going.
Yeah, so that's fair.
Haragi.
Yeah.
And I think we've also got Edgar Jairez and Kevin Borjas.
I have Joshua Van.
We're going to go with Joshua Van. It doesn't matter because I think Edgar Jairez gets it done.
Okay.
Either way.
And is he the favorite?
He's also the favorite. Yeah.
Got it. We think.
We think.
And then Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Ricky Lang.
So, let me find this here. Here are the odds here. Raul Rosas Jr. coming in as the heavy favorite. Negative 850.
Yeah.
Ricky Lang coming in at plus 500. Mm-hmm. We're going to go with Rosas Jr. I won't even tell you to bet that $5 in the dryer. Just put it all on Rosas Jr.
Rosas Jr.
Yeah, just get it done.
Look for like Rosas Jr. by submission if you want to maybe get some bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I think that's, throw that in there with that's your prop in your parlay play maybe. So we've got 7 favorites, no dogs, 3 pick'ems.
Right, and it should be noted that we have no dogs, and that could be because of the pick'ems happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that could be dogs down the line, and we'll keep the people updated as we get that information. But I'd call that a pretty successful beginner's luck section.
I think so.
What do you say we take an iced tea break and we come back for a little bit of the face-off?
All right.
Let's do it. Welcome back for the final segment of the UFC Noche card. This is supposed to be the UFC's card for Mexican Independence Day. Obviously, with Brandon Moreno and a number of other Mexican fighters on the UFC roster, really bringing the Mexican pride. And you could go all the way back to, the Cain Velasquez days, to look at the Mexican pride in the UFC. And this is the fighting spirit, the Modelo moment for the UFC. Their main event does not seem to feature a Mexican fighter.
The co-main does.
Sure, but the main event does not seem to feature a Mexican fighter.
I'm trying, Dana. I'm trying to defend you here, Dana.
Now,
they could have found someone.
I thought I saw Sean O'Malley claiming Mexican heritage. Can we confirm that?
I do not want to confirm that.
He is from Helena, Montana.
There's no... You know what? There is a way.
And his name is Sean O'Malley.
Oh, my gosh.
Is Sean O'Malley Mexican? I'm just curious.
We're going to do a quick search here. I got to see if this is true. I got to check the fidelity on this. Oh my gosh. The first thing to come up is the Mexican roots of UFC champion Sean O'Malley. I don't want to confirm that here.
So TBD on whether or not the Sugar Show is in fact Mexican.
I think he's saying, okay, I've got a little bit of information here. Sanabul, one of his sponsors here, is saying his wife and daughter are Mexican.
Okay.
So through his relation to them, Sean says he's Mexican.
So Mexican by proxy.
By proxy. And look, there is precedence for that in many communities, so we'll take it.
Sure.
Yeah.
He
reps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't have to say any more about that.
No.
I'm just curious.
He's invited to the fiesta for sure.
He's invited to the fiesta. Got it. He's to the cookout. TBD.
No, we don't know about that.
We don't know about the cookout.
I can't say.
But we do know the fiesta.
That's
He's
right.
there.
He's there.
Cracking a Modelo, the fighting spirit.
There it is.
Got it.
All right.
God, those Modelo ads gotta go. Well, I was just curious about that. And before we get too deep into the face-off, we really only have one substantive thing to cover for the face-off today, and that is the Mikey Musumeci 1FC drama with a sprinkling of Gordon Ryan for the jiu-jitsu nerds listening in. But before I do, Gary Tonin, who is one of Gordon Ryan's OG trainers. He is, I believe, on the 1FC roster as an MMA fighter. He is a multiple-time ADCC competitor. He is from New Jersey. He is also Gordon Ryan's best friend. He put up there that if anybody wanted to talk to him about all this shenanigans, all the skullduggery going on, he would come on their podcast. We've made our pitch, and we have told Gary that you could go on Joe Rogan. You could go on Ariel Helwani.
Snooze.
You could go on Morning Combat.
Whatever.
Why not come on the 10-8 Round podcast? Why not come on a podcast that's a little bit closer to home? Gary's a Jersey guy. We're in Philadelphia. Why not come home, Gary?
Reach across the Delaware and grasp hands with us.
Reach across. And I don't often hold a hand from New Jersey, but I have been known to, on occasion, hold a hand from New Jersey. In the immortal words of Tom Waits, often attributed to Bruce Springsteen, nothing matters in this whole wide world.
There it is.
When you're in love with a Jersey girl. So, Gary, be our Jersey girl. Come on the 10-8 Round podcast.
Come through.
Down the shore, everything's all right. Us and Gary Tonin on a Saturday night.
That sounds great.
That sounds fantastic.
We'll have a liquid death for you, too.
We will have a liquid death for you. So if you're listening at home and you think Gary Tonin should come on the podcast, Shoot Gary a DM. Let him know. Don't sleep on the 10-8 round.
Don't do it.
And the millions of our fans.
Get in on the subterranean floor here.
That's right. We're not quite at the ground level yet, but we're confident by the end of the year we will have found the ground. So let's get into the reason for Gary's Instagram post. Let's get into, I guess, the most dramatic thing that we can talk about this week. Mikey Musumeci, jiu-jitsu whiz kid.
That's how we could put that. Yeah, that's
right.
good. That's charitable.
A jiu-jitsu wonderkind.
Darth Rigatoni.
Yes. Fan of carbohydrates, fan of pizza.
Pizza and pasta.
Pizza, pasta, and inside heel hooks.
Yeah.
He's a fan of all three.
Rips him.
He was set to take on Cade Rotolo in ONE FC's jiu-jitsu arm of their promotion. ONE FC is a martial arts promotion from Singapore, headed by a guy named Chatri Sityodong.
There you go.
I believe.
That's impressive.
I believe. I could be wrong. Sityodong may also just be a Muay Thai gym in Thailand. But Chatri, as he is affectionately known by the people who like ONE FC. I like ONE FC, and I like
Solid.
it. I like ONE FC because it's not just they have an MMA angle of their promotion. They also bring Muay Thai fights. They also bring kickboxing fights, and they also bring jiu-jitsu matches, and they throw them all on the same card, which I think makes for an interesting and robust promotion. I'm a big ONE FC fan. Cade and Mikey set to get down to business. Cade has to pull out due to injury sustained at the Craig Jones Invitational.
That's right.
They were set to do the damn thing at 170 pounds. Mikey puts a championship belt on the line at 135 pounds. Do I have that right?
That's after Cade pulls out.
Sure.
And he wants to keep it a title fight here to go against a fellow named Bebeto, who I'm sure the jiu-jitsu nerds are like, Coltrane, you don't know. Listen, I'm getting up to speed. Okay? Listen. All right. Then he comes on to Instagram. We find out that he missed weight and hydration and was stripped of his title. That's how he put it.
Sure.
Okay. Then we got a follow-up post from Tom DeBlas, who is a color commentator for ONE FC.
Also the owner of Ocean County Jiu-Jitsu in New Jersey, friend of Gordon Ryan, Gary Tonin, and legendary jiu-jitsu competitor in his own right.
100%. I think did he corner Gordon Ryan?
He may have at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be surprised if anybody other than John Danaher does
Fair
it
enough.
now, but he may have at some point. I know he's friends with Gordon.
He put something on Instagram saying, hey, it was actually Mikey who wanted to drop the weight in 72 hours because that's what we're talking about, dropping 35 pounds in
3 days.
3 days.
That's a lot of weight.
I mean, that's an insane level of weight. So much so that it overwhelmed Mikey's system.
Sure.
Sent him into some sort of medical situation.
Yeah.
And he had to pull out from the entire match altogether, therefore forfeiting the belt.
So there will be no Mikey Musumeci on the ONE FC
Not
card.
at all, because of medical issues.
And the ONE FC card's actually happening tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is no Mikey. There's no Darth Rigatoni, and he's no longer the champion.
No Bebeto, no Cade, no Mikey Musumeci.
None of it.
Okay. Now
Then-
that scene is set.
That scene is set, and I just want to say that Mikey made it seem, from my view, that ONE FC had done something nefarious. That's how I read it. Tom DeBlas came in and said, hey, look, listen.
Sure.
It wasn't nefarious. Mikey wanted this to happen, and he couldn't get it done. But we tried at every juncture to stop this from happening.
Now, I have to wonder, though, if you're Chatri, if you're ONE. And ONE is a little bit unique in that they do have the hydration tests after weigh-ins, and it seems to cause all sorts of issues with ONE FC. I know Rodtang has failed a number of hydration tests in his time in ONE FC. It's a huge whatever. Why let Mikey try to drop 35 pounds in 3 days? Like, that's an almost insurmountable feat.
I guess because Musumeci thought he could get it done. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, is it the fighter or is it the promotion? I don't know.
I think it has to be the promotion.
You think they have the final say?
I think they have to have the final say, and I think they have to be the grown up at the table. We know some fighters,
Yeah.
and the fighters that we know, and I've been really fortunate to know a lot of fighters over the years, to get to know them. They're fucking nuts.
They are.
And if you don't know that they're nuts, their goal is to engage in combat with another living creature, another human being, in a chain link fenced cage. Until they either knock them out or manipulate a part of their body in enough of a forceful way that the person quits. And that's their career goal. That's what they want to do for money. They're not all the way there. And the fighters that I know, that I've met, that I've spoken to, some of the most wonderful, thoughtful, caring, sweet people I have ever met. They're not all the fucking way there.
No, there are a couple of screws tactically misplaced.
That's
what we'll call it.
Best way to put it, right? It's not that screws are missing. It's that you've bought something from IKEA and the holes for the screws are missing.
Yeah.
So the promotion, I think, has to be like, you've got to be the one to say, like, we love the enthusiasm that you would try to cut 35 pounds in 3 days. But no, we're not
irresponsible.
doing it. It's irresponsible.
It's irresponsible.
But this is jiu-jitsu fuckery.
Yeah.
So you know there has to be at least a pinch of Gordon Ryan involved.
Just a little bit.
So you've got a little bit of background on that. How does Gordon get involved here?
So we got to go back to Musumeci's appearance on Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson's podcast, in which he goes on a tear against athletes who are on performance-enhancing drugs. And of course, when you're talking about jiu-jitsu athletes on performance-enhancing drugs, we've got to talk about the old young man, Gordon Ryan.
Gordon Ryan is 1 year older than Mikey, and yet looks to be his grandfather. This is a legitimate claim, and one that Musumeci brings up during that particular interview. I'm sure incensing Ryan, right, as soon as he saw it. And it does, yeah, confirmed. Yeah. You've said something negative about Gordon Ryan. Feel his wrath.
It's coming. And then here comes Mr. Tummy Issues in the 11th hour to say to Mikey Musumeci, well, at least I don't miss weight.
That's a little Gordon shade.
Yeah.
You're planting a flag.
Just a little bit.
You're planting a flag, and that flag is this is the anti-Gordon Jiu-Jitsu Club.
Tiny bit.
Okay, and that's
He's
fair.
Overrated.
That's fair. I think his jiu-jitsu is rated appropriately.
I think he's overrated.
Sure.
Gordon Ryan himself. His jiu-jitsu is spotless. I'm not saying anything about that. Well, I don't know. The last ADCC, the one that we didn't watch, I heard that there were some interesting things that happened, and it looks like his reign may be coming to a close. I don't know. But what I do know is I don't like him and his presence.
And I think that that's fair.
And his sort of presence in the jiu-jitsu sphere is a bit of a stain. Just a tiny bit.
There is, I think, a pervasive problem, and I think it's more pervasive in people who like combat sports, that once you've decided you like a competitor, a certain fighter, you've decided you have to be all or nothing.
Right.
I don't think there's any doubt that Gordon Ryan is the GOAT of no-gi grappling, probably the overall GOAT of grappling. I think it comes down to him or Roger Gracie.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. But if you're going to Gordon Ryan for anything other than jiu-jitsu,
you got issues.
Hang it up, bud. I don't know what to hang him up, bud. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You right? Like, he's, and again, this is a person who's successfully dedicated their entire life to manipulating somebody else's body until they tap out. Maybe don't go to him, for life, financial, political, philosophical advice.
None of it.
Don't go to him for that. Maybe don't go to Craig Jones either. Maybe don't go to Sean Strickland.
Right. But I will say at least Craig Jones is a little bit more entertaining.
Sure. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously Mikey speaks out against Gordon. Talks about the toll that PEDs do take on the body.
Yeah.
And I think he started it as like an overall claim of like kids are being given PEDs to excel in these sports without any thought to the ramification of what it's doing to their body. Mentions Gordon Ryan. I think Gordon dyes his hair, which might add to the aging effect.
That tracks, yeah.
Right. I think he actually dyes his hair.
But if you just see the physicality of the two,
sure,
you're like, come on.
Sure, but
But Mikey, I won't say Mikey's the average. What is he? 28. I won't say.
Right.
I won't say that. I mean, if you put me next to Mikey Musumeci, he probably also look like a child. But
Right.
the point still stands that Musumeci was trying to draw that comparison very starkly, and then got his ass beat a little bit.
I mean, the timing was bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because Gordon was waiting.
The wings.
Gordon was preying on his downfall. In the immortal words of Philadelphian philosopher Meek Mill, I used to pray for times like this.
Exactly.
That is Gordon Ryan preying on Mikey's downfall. And so, then, of course, the video gets posted of Mikey missing weight. Gordon comments, "At least I never missed weight."
Yeah. I will also say that he also said, "At least you look young."
At least you look young. Sure. Yeah. So double shots.
Yeah, double shots. And it's the whole thing. And here's the thing. Look, Gordon Ryan is great at jiu-jitsu. Nobody's saying he's not. I just don't like the guy.
And that's fair.
He's like my Bilal Muhammad.
And
if Bilal Muhammad didn't exist.
Sure, if Bilal Muhammad didn't exist. But shit gets deeper.
Yeah.
Because we talked about DJ's podcast, Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson.
The GOAT.
Truly.
Him and GSP might be my contenders.
I think I'm hard pressed to find an argument that Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson is not on the Mount Rushmore of MMA.
Yeah.
Right up there with, I think, George St. Pierre, probably John Jones, although we don't have to talk John Jones.
We're just sad about him right now.
We're just really bummed about him right now. And who's that fourth slot? I don't know. That's an interesting question.
That is an interesting question.
We could have a whole episode talking about
Ronda?
Maybe Ronda.
Perhaps.
Maybe Ronda.
Maybe.
But then Amanda Nunes might have something to say about it.
She'd have a lot to say.
And I'm sure she would. Yeah, that's fair. But
that's a whole podcast.
But that's a whole podcast.
Like
Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah. This fucker.
Is now taking a shot at Demetrius Johnson.
Which makes no fucking sense, right? Because we're not talking about the same. Now, in this case, we're not talking about the same level of fighter at all.
I don't think so.
There's just no.
I don't think so.
Okay, you got off one pile driver. This man double-legged into a freaking armbar.
Yep.
Before the guy hit the ground.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear it. But here comes Bilal Muhammad. He comes in and he says, "Look, Mighty Mouse, you're trash at predicting fights." Now, whether or not this is true, I don't know. He says, "Hey, you're trash at predicting fights." Mighty Mouse says, "Bet, spar me,"
which is insane.
Like, see me.
Mighty Mouse, who I think walks around at 130 pounds, and said, "Pull up."
And would starch Bilal Muhammad, by the way.
You know what? I'd love to see it.
I don't know at any weight. I don't care.
I don't know that I don't know that I agree. I don't know that I disagree. I don't know that I agree. I'd love to see it. But like Bilal, stop it.
Yeah.
Keep Mighty Mouse's name out your fucking mouth.
Mighty Mouse with the just come see me. We don't even have to do all this. Just come see me.
Right.
Bilal then backtracks and says, "Hey. I never said you couldn't fight. I just said you can't predict fights."
Sure. The bitch came out.
And listen, he's right, but also, Bilal, stand on business.
Right.
But
also, fuck your entire life. Fuck you.
I also, just because I'm a big fan of DJ, he just got his black belt recently.
Which is an insane statistic that Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson just got a jiu-jitsu black belt.
It's a bit wild. And he just swept his first black belt competition.
He's just doing side quests.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Right, he's just going to IBJJF side quests now because he was a UFC champion. He was a ONE FC champion. Now he's just doing side quests. I think he might be a current ONE FC champion.
He may be. I don't see on his record that he's lost recently.
Right. I think he is a current ONE FC champion unless he vacated it or I don't know, but I know he got, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. He had the 2 fights with, and it's not coming to me.
In any case, we love Demetrius Johnson here on this pod.
We absolutely do. Yeah, Mighty Mouse is that dude. Let there be no doubt about that.
I want to mention something we didn't prep for, but just a quick mention.
I'm ready.
Elbows in karate combat.
Elbows in karate combat. The vote is in.
Kind of awesome.
Yeah, so that is now something that you can do in karate combat that you could not previously, which is to hit your opponent with an elbow. Yeah. I think it'll make for a more robust fight. I think some of these guys that have maybe been enjoying their time in karate combat, Smiling Sam Alvey.
Yeah, he's not.
He might be
happy.
catching a stray soon.
He's not happy.
He might be catching an elbow soon. I like it. I think it's interesting. And I mean, I think they're trying to keep a traditional karate base. There are elbows in traditional karate.
One could say, as a black belt in traditional karate.
Sure.
There's very few times I can say that and be legitimate.
But you're legit here.
I am legit here. Elbows are a main part of a certain sect of karate.
Correct.
In which there aren't a lot of closed hand strikes.
Sure.
Where there's a lot of grappling. There's a lot of elbows involved.
Yeah.
So,
I like it.
I like it. What I do think is interesting is, how far are we from karate combat saying, and now you can grapple? Because it is I want to say it's a democratically done system where
It seems that way.
you can vote on the rules.
Right.
So
President Awesome.
when does President Awesome say, hey, grappling?
I'm not sure. I'm interested to see the trajectory here.
Yeah.
On one hand, I think that would be cool. On the other hand, I hope they keep it a little bit more traditional. I kind of like that bent to it. I kind of like tuning in and feeling like I'm watching a martial arts promotion that could have existed in 1985.
Yeah.
Complete with the UFO backgrounds, the crypto sponsorships, and the DeLorean advertisements.
The masks.
The fucking DeLorean advertisements.
Bring it back.
I cannot get over that.
The cowboy hats.
The cowboy hat,
saying
yeah.
Random things they've got on there. Here's what I'll say though. I think President Awesome, if you're listening, if you throw a judo rule set in there, you don't have to take it to the ground. Do something that no one else is doing. Put a stand up to take down spin on karate combat. I think you've got a very interesting fight promotion.
You're going to see a lot of judo black belts holding karate combat championship belts.
And I would not be mad.
Not at all. I would be real excited for that. I guess the only other thing left on the face-off is we just got the breaking news. The CFFC, Cage Fury Fighting Championships, are coming back to Philadelphia October 18th at the 2300 Arena. I'm excited for that. CFFC is a great MMA promotion. They put on a lot of fun fights. They are this region's feeder league for the UFC. Paul Felder, Sean Brady, Pat Sabatini, and a lot of other guys, including the Dawkins brothers, have all come out of CFFC from this area. Aljamain Sterling, CFFC alum. So a ton of UFC talent has come out of the CFFC. Those cards are awesome. We will probably be there in October catching some CFFC action.
Come join us.
And who knows, maybe we can check the Rolodex, see if we got any CFFC contacts to have on beforehand to preview that card. Anything else to cover?
I think we've covered it all.
I think we could say more, but what more could we say? Call your mother. Tell you love her. We're out of here.